O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings.
Timbuktu Outdoors, the ideal solution to live bait.
Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Terminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. And the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia Mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Yes, indeed. Here's O'Neill. Welcome to the show, boys and girls. This is O'Neill Outside, Saturday mornings, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. on WSB Radio on the Sports Map, sports affiliate radio stations all over the country, and maybe in the radio where you're driving around. So welcome to the program, everyone. We're talking outdoors for the next 2 hours. It's 6 after the hour. We have my pleasure to tell you the sponsors of this program. It's very important. No sponsors, no show. CVA muzzleloaders. Matter of fact, this is CVA Outdoors. Arctic Ice, Tough Shed, Furminator, Timbuktu Outdoors, The Works Tools, Striplings, General, that's Snellville Heating and Air, and of course, my favorite place for wings is Rocco's Pub. So at 7 after the hour, I'm going to tell you now that we have the True Turn Tackle Tips, we have the Radio Prize Package, we have Who Is This? And, of course, the most important part of the program every week is the Medal of Honor tribute in the second hour. So we hope you'll join us. Let me give you the telephone numbers. 404-872-0750 in the Atlanta, Georgia area, 404-872-0750, or all over the country at 800-972-8255, 800-972-8255. And, of course, you can see the televised version of this program beginning on Mondays on Facebook. Cool, huh? It's 8 after the hour. We have a busy morning. We're going to talk about, do deer sleep? Where do you place your camera in preparation for the hunting season? Tackle tips from TJ. And so many other things that we can discuss this morning, and I'd love to hear your calls. Here's a question for you. What's the biggest fish you ever caught? And where did you catch that fish? Well, I know you caught him in the lips. But where did you catch that fish? What's the biggest you ever caught? I want to hear your story today on O'Neill Outside, and we'll be back. I know you guys you can't hear this on the network across, but on WSB you probably are, I think. I'm not sure about this engineering. But the music you're hearing, that piano solo right there, is called Doe Eyes. All right, so what, O'Neill? Okay? You might be surprised. It was written by Clint Eastwood. Welcome back to the program, everyone. 404-872-0750 in Atlanta, 404-872-0750 in the greater Atlanta area and across the country at 800-972-8255, 800-972-8255. Now let's have a chat now with Jonathan. Good morning, Jonathan. You're on the air. Welcome.
Neil.
Well, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Yes, it's early in the morning. Well, I was calling to let you know about the biggest fish I ever caught. I'm from around where you're from. I grew up in Centerville.
Uh-huh.
And if you going down Annistown Road from 124, and
okay,
you pass Zor Church, there used to be a farm pond.
Okay.
Or a little pond on the right there. I think there's apartments there now.
Mm-hmm.
But I caught a 7-pound bass out of that pond, and we were friends with I knew the family that owned the house and owned the pond, and I was 12 years old at the time, and that'd be the biggest fish I ever caught.
Wow,
a
12-year-old and a 7-pound largemouth. Well done.
Yeah. We put it in a cooler and towed it back off of Bethany Church Road.
Well, we all remember, the biggest fish that we've ever caught. That's why I brought that subject up, and I appreciate the fact that you called and that you caught it when you were, 12?
12 years old. We walked over there from the Bethany Church Road, neighborhood from Bethany Church Road, over there by Shiloh High School. We walked to that pond, and they let us come fishing anytime we wanted to.
Uh-huh.
And I caught it right at dark off a blue and firetail worm.
That's great. Isn't it funny how you remember the size of the fish, the time of the day, what you caught it on, the tackle that you were using, who it was that you were fishing with, and all of those things, and you will remember. That's why I encourage so many people like yourself and other people with children and grandchildren, kids in the neighborhood who don't get to go fishing. Take them fishing. Go fishing.
Yeah,
You'll remember it the rest of your life.
And at 12 years old, that thing was a monster. It couldn't even get out of the water, it's so big.
I'll tell you what, these days, if you go to Facebook, you see an awful lot of youngsters fishing and catching big fish, and I'm very encouraged about that.
Oh, yeah, man. That's, like I said, that's something I'll never forget, though.
There you are. Well, that's good. That's a good story. I'm proud to see youngsters catching fish instead of sitting with their cell phone in their hands.
That's right. Well, the reason I brought that up about you might know where it's at. Yeah, Annistown Road in Centerville. It's changed so much.
Oh yeah.
Since I was little, man, and like I said, I had actually filled that pond in, and like I said, I think there's apartments there. They sold that house and built apartments where that pond was at. But we used to catch, crappie, brim, everything.
Oh boy.
Out of that pond.
Where do you go now?
Just Sinclair or Lanier or hell, I go to Hartwell sometimes. It's just take my youngins wherever they want to go, man.
There you go.
Just try to catch something to eat,
That's right. Well, just so they're with you. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be the fish of a lifetime. Use some live bait just so something's pulling on their string, right?
That's all that matters, man. And heck, 9 times out of 10, you really got to catch none. It's just the fact of knowing you might.
Well put. Well put. Hey, I'm glad you called. Have a great weekend.
You do the same, O'Neill. See you.
You bet. There you go. How about that? Let's see who's up here. Terry, let's see. My timing is good. I believe I usually foul up this timing issues. Here's Terry. Terry's calling from Atlanta. Good morning, Terry. Welcome.
Morning, O'Neill. How are you, sir?
Lovely. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to rain today.
I wanted to tell you, it's been bad the past couple of days. I live out kind of where that last caller was talking about.
Okay.
I live in Loganville, and it's been awful lately. But I have a two-part story.
Okay.
I didn't hear – I just got in the car, so I didn't hear exactly what the subject was, but I heard that it was, the biggest fish.
Yes.
And I've had a chance – my great-grandfather and grandfather both owned fish all my life. I'm almost 50. But ironically, my biggest bass, largemouth bass, just over 14, she came from inside the perimeter of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah.
14 pounds?
The reason I called, my cousin, 14 and a half, she was 28 inches long. She was a big fish.
Oh, boy.
So big she scared me. Luckily,
I'll bet.
I was fishing the braid, slow rolling a black and blue Colorado single blade spinnerbait on the bottom about 9 o'clock. She had a trailer hook, thank goodness. But my cousin, I'm excited about this because this just happened last week. Excuse me. My cousin owns beautiful property in Bullitt County where some of my family lives, and he has several nice lakes, 10 and 15-acre lakes that backs up, connected to swamps. And I went down there and visited last week, and he took me bowfin fishing, mudfish.
Uh-huh.
You ever caught one of those?
Yes, I have. I have caught them. Yes, I have. The biggest I ever caught was surprisingly at West Point.
Wow, I didn't know they were in the big lakes like that.
Mm-hmm.
The place we were fishing was kind of swampy, but I mean, I probably missed more than I caught. But the first one that I hooked had a brand new Quantum rod, and as soon as I set the hook and got him just about to the bank, and he saw me, he broke my rod.
Oh,
first time I've ever broke a rod with a fish in my life, and but we wound up catching about 4 or 5 that were in the 15 to 18 pound range, and they're just the meanest thing. The closest thing I can equate it to is when you watch those guys in South America fishing for the arapaima or the big peacock bass. I mean, those things just get mad when you hook them.
I got a funny story to tell you. This is kind of funny because it's interesting that people will react to my television show, and they'll send me emails about my television show. And this was years ago, and I caught a bowfin, a grunnel, and that's what we're talking about. And I caught one, and it was, 10, 12 pounds. And I said, when I showed the fish on camera, and then the show aired later on, I said, now this fish right here hasn't changed at all. This might well be called a prehistoric fish. Okay? And
that's exactly what my cousin said.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it is. And a guy sent an email or a letter, I forgot, and I don't remember. But anyway, he got in touch with me and told me that I was wrong about that fish. That fish could not have been more than 3 or 4 years old. See? You can't.
I thought you meant like the species being.
Absolutely, that's what I meant. But he took me literally and bashed me for saying that fish was prehistoric when it really wasn't over about 3 years old. I don't know. So,
well, I guess if that was an email, he might have been being sarcastic.
Yeah, well,
just can't pick
could
it up
be.
in an email.
I didn't respond.
Clever,
I didn't.
But that's exactly what my cousin said. The first big one that we got up, we were trying to get the hook out, and that's the first thing he said. He said, that thing's a dinosaur.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That thing is a survivor. Let's see, it's called a bowfin.
It's one of those mudfish, dogfish.
Yeah, grunnel or grinnel. It's called lots of things.
One. The ironic part about it is you don't ever hear very many people talking about fishing for them. But once you hook one of those things, I think it would be almost everything that you fish for. I
know I got disappointed one time. I used to fish bass tournaments a long, long time ago, and I was at West Point Lake. I had a nice catch, but I had one more place that I had planned on going and making a cast or two before I had to go to the weigh-in. So I had it all planned. You know how it is. You got your setup, and so I go to this place. I make my cast with a plastic worm. I get bit. I set the hook, and I said, "Oh man, I got him! Now this is the one. This is a big fish. This is my largemouth anchor." Okay, it was a 12-pound bowfin.
Wow.
I couldn't weigh him, of course.
Wish I had thrown him back.
Yeah, put him back.
I miss fishing. I miss fishing tournaments. It was a lot of fun. I used to fish the high voltage trail here in Georgia. Mm-hmm. My stepfather and I, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh boy, well that was good. Well, I'm glad you called, and that's a good story, and we'll expect something new from you next time.
I'll email you a picture of it.
Please do.
Next week.
Please do. I'll see you soon.
Thanks. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye.
You bet. Okay. I've got John and Daryl and John from New York and everybody. I can't get to you right now, but if you'll hold on through the break, I'll get to all the calls. You're listening to O'Neill Outside, the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the country, and you can telephone us at 404-872-0750 or 800-972-8255. And when we get to these calls, when we get back, before that next session ends, put your brain in gear. I'll have the radio prize package. Ooh, boy, lots of stuff to win. This is O'Neill. Again, the numbers, 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. John, Daryl, John, everybody hold on. I'll be back. 40 after the hour. We've got a lot of calls. We want to get to every one of them in the order in which they call. First of all, let's talk to John. He's calling from Lilburn on O'Neill Outside. Good morning, John.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
O'Neill, rather. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I've been called a lot worse than that
Listen.
before.
Me too. About catfishing.
Okay.
And I heard you say a lot about how you catfish
Uh-huh.
and use blood baits, liver, stuff like that. I read an article that goes against what you're saying, and I kind of agree with the article. They were figuring the best time. They talked to an old man that was catching a lot of catfish. And he said, how are you catching those, so many? And he said, well, you got to find where the depth they're feeding at.
Okay.
And not just throw it to the bottom, and, you know what I'm saying, and leave 6 inches or 8 inches above the lead, and it'll float up. But
yeah,
they were actually gauging. They took trot at 10, 20, and 30 feet.
Uh-huh.
And wherever they're hitting, they'd make a note of it, and they sort of map the bottom. And I'm in agreement with them that the catfish I catch don't feed off the bottom. They're channel cat, and they eat live minnows, shiners. And I just always say, you are what you eat. And you know, do you eat those fish you catch off the bottom?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You do? You don't think they kind of muddy? Like mudcat and bottom fish?
Well, he's not the greatest yellow cat or mud cat, but yeah, I eat them. I be sure and cook them. I always cook them.
Yeah. But I mean, it just, but it seems the only catfish, we usually fish with the trot line.
Uh-huh.
And we always put big shiners on there, and we catch 10 to 15 pound catfish easy, just
boy.
all day long. And we always feed them at least, maybe, I'd say 3 feet off the bottom, the bottom as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I don't know, you've always talked about, and I know you can catch a lot of fish, and they're a lot of fun to catch, like carp, but I wouldn't eat one. I just wondered about that, because you always tell people how to fish for them, and I can catch them that way too, but I just never care for the taste.
Okay. Now,
that's why I was
let me ask you: are most of what you catch channel cats?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The channel. One of the things.
The speckled.
One of the things, the channel cat and the flathead, and sometimes the blue.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more aggressive and tuned in to live bait and fish and bait or food up off the bottom a little bit. But
right.
Yeah, but it's my experience that you catch more close to the bottom. I mean, like 6 or 8 inches off the bottom. That's why he's shaped like he is. Yeah. And that's why he's got those barbels, so he can smell the bait on the bottom and find it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
He's a great sport
All
fish.
Right, well, you know, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I know you do.
And yes, sir, we do. And I'll tell you one of the quick things. I'm taking my brother up for his birthday to Oconee. We're going to get him some crappies, brother. Forward to it. So, coming up in October.
Good.
Looking forward
good for
to
you.
It, so,
a great time
I'll let you
to
know
catch.
Back. And O'Neill, could you post your either your email or your whatever? I want to send you a couple pictures. You know,
okay. Just go right through my website at o'neilloutside.com.
O'neilloutside.com.
Yeah, or Facebook. O'Neill Outside at Facebook. And you can put them there. I'll see them right away.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Stay in touch, John.
All right. Have a great.
You bet.
Yes,
there
sir,
we go.
You.
Who's up next? Oh, here's he's been holding on quite a while. Let's talk to John, is calling from the Catskill Mountains in New York. Good morning, John.
Yes, greetings from the Catskill Mountains.
Yeah.
I see, O'Neill, you had a visitor on your porch a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Little guy climbed up there.
Yes, and
Was he sniffing the flowers?
Pardon me?
Looked like he was sniffing the flowers there.
Well, now what John is referring to is Gail and I, we were sitting on the deck having a conversation, and a bear walks up the steps and walks over toward us, not in a threatening fashion. And of course, I took pictures and ran the guy. It was an adolescent. What I took out of that, John, is he was looking for a meal. He wasn't afraid of me, and he was looking to get fed. And that's too bad.
Yep, they're always looking for a meal, and they're curious critters too. They are.
Oh, sure.
Yep. Now, O'Neill, I know you talk a lot about where the revenue goes for hunting licenses,
yes,
fishing licenses, firearms purchases. Now, remember, all those are skyrocketing. The sales of hunting licenses,
yes,
firearms. I mentioned that New York turkey permits went up 213%.
Fantastic.
With that, right? What that's and going towards is conservation efforts and such. So there's a huge amount of money this year going to sportsmen's causes.
That is correct.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. I don't know when, because up here in New York, I don't know about wherever else, but hunting has been on a decline about 1% a year.
Right.
But now it's picking up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad to hear that Don from Ocean Island weathered that hurricane, and that rain that came up here was just what we needed. We were having a real dry summer, so we were glad to get the rain up here.
It all balances out over time.
Right. And actually, I actually went through a hurricane in 1985. I was down to visit my brother on Long Island, and Hurricane Gloria hit. So I borrowed a pair of his motorcycle goggles and went out to a golf course. And you know me, I just got to be out there. And just when I thought things were getting where I really thought I shouldn't be out there, about 100-mile-an-hour winds, I was behind a blow-down willow. Well, I was watching the seagulls sitting on the ground facing into the wind. Mm-hmm. And then when it really got bad, all of a sudden it all died down, and it stopped, and there I was looking up in the eye of the hurricane.
Boy.
That was really something to behold. I never thought it, quite an experience. And then the winds came from the other way, and then the seagulls turned around and faced the other direction. But
what a terrific experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, just one thing I'd like to touch base on is I mentioned John Burroughs. He was a naturalist,
yes,
over 100 years ago up here in grew up in the Catskills and stuff. He built a cabin down along the Hudson River. He didn't live up in the Catskills his whole life, so he had a cabin down there called Slabsides. In 1904, he wrote a book where he started counting a whippoorwill, how many times it's singing its song, whippoorwill, right? He still has the record, 1,088 times, nonstop, a whippoorwill. And then it paused and went on for another 390. He wrote till he fell back asleep.
I guess that was a mating call, huh? Or territorial?
I think it was probably in the springtime and stuff. But that's funny that he just started counting that, and yet today people still refer to his count back in 1904.
How about that?
Yeah, incredible.
It'd be nice to be remembered for something very positive. I'm still searching for it.
Well, I'm going to be ordering your book, so maybe I'll pick up.
Well, good. I hope you.
Now that's another thing. You say on occasion this is an educational show, this particular show, but all your shows are educational. That's why we all listen to them.
Well, that's what I try to make it to be. As a matter of fact, I suspect I haven't. It's not granted yet. However, I suspect the program will begin sometime relatively soon on Sirius XM.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah, and so I just sent a note this morning. In my program, which you witness weekly, there are no politics. There's no college or professional sports. There's no financial advice. It's nothing but encouragement and education about spending time outdoors.
Yes. Yes, very
so
good.
There you are.
Well, that's why the one caller calls you Professor.
Yeah. Yeah, one guy. That's right. Hey, listen, have a great weekend, sir.
Yes, thank you. You too.
You bet. I'll see you soon, I hope.
Right.
There you go, pal. There you go. Let's see who's up next here. I've got time for this. And let's talk to Daryl in Kennesaw. Good morning, Daryl. We've got a couple of minutes. What's going on?
What's going on there, old Neil, out here just driving this tractor trailer this morning. Look at here. You're talking about fishing stories. I got a good. I was down on the Wapaha River down South Georgia, brim fishing, red-breasted brim with crickets. I ran out of crickets. I was carrying a big old stringer full of them. I'm looking around, see if I could find grasshoppers, cricket, brim biting all over the place. I found a buzzard up in a tree. I went up that tree. I grabbed that buzzard. He had about 6 foot wingspan. I hooked him at a hook with a big old bass hook.
Okay.
Did the foot with a bass hook. I throwed him out there. I caught a 285-pound catfish. You couldn't believe that thing.
I mean,
he come up there, had a mouth on him big as a 5-gallon bucket. Oh, it was awesome. Man, I tell you the truth. But, all jokes aside, one of the best fishing trips I went on in my life. My daddy was a World War II veteran, a Korean War veteran, and a Vietnam War veteran.
Wow.
And he fished all over the world. But he wanted to go catch some catfish one time, so I booked the trip on Santee Cooper.
Oh,
and
boy.
we wore them out. Absolutely wore them out. And the biggest fish of the day was a 38-pound blue cat that he caught. And I tell you what, that was the best trip I ever went on. Sad to say he died 2 weeks later, but I'm going to tell you one thing right now. That right there was the best trip I've ever been on, right there.
That's wonderful.
Best trip. And
that's
the biggest catfish I've ever seen. I know there's bigger catfish. I know that. But 38-pound catfish, biggest catfish I've seen in my life.
That's a grown one.
I mean, oh, yeah. And he ate good, too. Sliced him up with little tender sticks.
Yeah, blue cat.
Yep.
That's
but
great.
That was it. I had to have a little fun to get a little serious.
You bet. Well, there's nothing like a fishing story. Where are you headed this morning?
Well, I'm going down here to pick up a load of cement. Now I got to take it up to Ball Ground, blow it off up there. We got a job not far from your house up there, off Monument Road up there.
Yeah, Ball Ground's not far from here. You know why they've called it Ball Ground, don't you?
No, I really never figured that out.
Okay, because that's where they used to go play ball.
Hey, you all right.
There was a ball ground there.
How about that? Well, you all right, you know.
All right, be safe.
I'm going to see if old Milton Crabapple, I'm going to see if Milton Crabapple can top that story right there. I'm sure he can, though.
Well, I don't know. I hadn't heard from him this morning, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Hey, have a good one, sir. Be safe, and let me hear from you again. I want to hear about that big catfish.
You got it.
All right, see you later, pal.
See you. Bye.
That's good. Caught 235-pound catfish. Okay, let's see. Where am I in the stream of time here? Okay, 404-872-0750. Here, I've got time for this. Radio prize package. A whole long laundry list. I'll tell you about it. You call the numbers I've already given you. The question is, in 24 years on my television show, I've been sponsored by one muzzleloader. What is the brand of muzzleloader? Call the show right now and win the radio prize package. I'll be back. 57 after the hour. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to O'Neill Outside, and we've got the radio prize package floating around out there somewhere, and we'll get to that. But first of all, he's been honing on quite a while. We'll talk to David, calling from somewhere in Texas. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Mr. O'Neill.
Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to make 2 quick stories. I love that you talk about the wilderness. I'm 59 years old, and I can still remember when I caught my first perch at Allison Lake in Taylor, Texas.
How about that? Good for you.
And then one more thing. My Uncle Johnny told me years ago his brother Jesse was at the lake with his dad, and that bullfrog was making noise, and He asked him, "What is it saying, Dad?" He said, "Jesse, Jesse." They had to load the truck up in about 20 minutes, sir. Have a good one, sir.
You bet. Hey, I'm glad.
Thank you.
You bet. I'm glad you called. I appreciate you listening to the program and that you enjoy it, and maybe you get something out of it. And listen and call more often. I'd love to hear from you.
Have a good morning. Thank you.
You bet. There we go. Hey, that's
Bye.
good. Let's see. We got the prize package question already answered. Let's, at 58 after the hour, I've got time to tell you that the radio prize package consists of a Bojangles gift card. You get some chicken and biscuits. Free Swaggerty's supermarket voucher. A DNR hat and Rigs magazine. A Real Tree hat and decal. A Big Green Egg koozie kit. An Arctic ice pack. An Angler magazine. Georgia State Parks Guide, a can of Fisher's Choice baits, a selection of True Turn tackle, a Hydro Shot glass. That's the radio prize package. And my question was, on my television and the radio program, I've been sponsored by one brand of muzzle loaders for the last 25 years. It's just a better gun. And Matt is calling from Walton County. And so, Matt, who has been sponsoring my show for so long in the category of muzzleloaders?
CVA muzzleloaders.
CVA muzzleloaders is correct. We've grown up together, so to speak.
That's right.
You bet. Do we have your information and everything to send you the prize package?
Yes, sir. As far as I know, you do. I just had a real quick shout out for you, if I could.
Well, I'll have to put you on hold, pal. I'm up against the clock. I got to go right now. You stay right there if you can. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. We'll be back.
O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty's Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings.
Timbuktu Outdoors, the ideal solution to live bait.
Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Burminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. And the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia Mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Good morning, everyone, from the Bojangles studio high in the mountains of North Georgia. CVA presents O'Neill Outside. Welcome to the program, everyone. Let me give you the telephone numbers. We've got a lot of calls, and I'm going to get to every one of them. I promise we have a lot of things to do. We have the Medal of Honor tribute. We have the True Turn tackle tips. We have other things, too, about deer hunting already. Plus, more importantly, your calls. The telephone numbers are 404-872-0750 or 800-972-8255, WSB AM and 750 and 95.5 FM all across the eastern United States, and the Sports Map Radio Network, affiliates from Minnesota to Maine, Miami to Texas, and all across the country. You can listen to O'Neill Outside. No politics, no college or professional sports, nothing financial. I'm poor as can be. Outdoors, building memories, fishing, hunting, camping, hiking, spending time with your family, and if I can, we'll discuss about things that can maybe make those hunting and fishing trips a little bit more productive. I'm no genius, but I've been in the woods lots of times, and so I have my tips, and more importantly, your calls. That's what makes this program approaching now its 30th year. You imagine that? I would encourage, because I have time to do so, that you tune in O'Neill Outside Television, Fox Sports Radio Networks, Waypoint TV, Carbon TV, The Hunt Channel, Outdoor Action, Gone TV, Destination Go. Oh my goodness, YouTube TV and YouTube, and we have some promotions going on where you can get stuff. We all need more stuff. 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. So, Matt, we're going to get to you and to Ken and to everyone else when we return, because this is O'Neill Outside. We'll be back. 12 minutes after the hour. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot of calls. We want to get to every one of them. Matt has been holding on for quite a while. Good morning, Matt. You're on O'Neill Outside. What have we got left?
Hey, good morning, brother. Listen,
hey.
I just want to say thank you for the prize pack. Today's my birthday, and that's a nice
Oh, boy.
treat. Yeah, and also, too, my father-in-law, Wayne Tatum, talking about big fish, he actually owns the Lake Oconee blue catfish record. He caught on cut gizzard shad at about 40, 45 foot of water, and he weighed out at 69 pounds, 7 ounces.
Wow.
Yeah, that was and just 2 hours before he caught that record fish, he caught, the record at the time was 47 pounds and some change, and he caught a 45 pound and some change catfish. And 2 hours later, landed that 69 pound, 7 ounce blue cat on Lake Oconee, and still to this day, it's the record. He just got that back in 2016 or 17, I believe it was. Might be a little bit later than that.
Yeah, I encourage that. Catfishing is a species that I encourage more people to seek.
Oh, absolutely. He used to be a big hybrid striper fisherman. And over time, he transitioned to catfishing and absolutely loves it. He's right at 80 years old and still goes.
Aha! Good story, man. I'm glad you passed that along.
Yes, sir. I hope you have a great day, brother.
You too. You too. There you go. 13 after the hour. Let's see who's up next. Ken is calling from Milton. Good morning, Ken. Thanks for holding on so long. It's 13 after the hour.
Good morning, O'Neill.
Hey there.
I am a long-time listener. I've listened to you since you began the radio program.
Thank you so much.
And I've also won one of your prize packages about 10 years ago. So,
good.
I grew up knowing Milton Crabapple. Milton Crabapple,
yes.
I've known him for over 60 years.
Quite a character.
My father was an avid hunter and fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember going fishing, some of the first things I recall in my life when I was barely able to walk, old enough to walk.
Uh-huh.
And I got my first shotgun when I was 11 years old. I got a 410 gauge shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I live on some acreage here in Milton. I'm approximately 10 minutes from North Point Mall,
okay.
Avalon. I see deer. I see wild turkeys almost daily.
Oh, boy.
And it is such a adventure, really, because having grown up in this general area 50 years ago, you saw no deer, you saw no turkeys.
No, not at all.
There are so many more now. The population, I don't know, I assume it's because they're have less habitat, and of course in the city of Milton you can't hunt, but
well, that's part of it. It's the management of both the habitat and the control of the population via the hunting licenses and hunting seasons. Matter of fact,
I see I've been seeing 3 tom turkeys almost daily now for the last 2 years, except during the mating season. They made themselves hard to see during the mating season.
Well, they're on the move. That's right.
We apparently lost one of the 3. I only see 2 now.
Uh-huh.
But each day around midday, I see them preening themselves. There's a couple logs that they climb up on,
mm-hmm.
and I do not feed any of the game that comes to my property. They're here because they want to be.
Right. Good idea.
But it's probably one of the most pleasures I've had in my life from a simple event, just getting to see wild animals in their natural habitat. And
you can enjoy it. You can certainly enjoy it all without ever pulling the trigger.
Well, that's true. And I hunted and fished most of my life. I'm 74 years old now, and I still do both, but not as much as I did when I was younger, obviously. But when you tell people to take a child fishing, I agree with you 100% because the memories that they make during those events will stick with them throughout their lives.
Oh, absolutely. I can remember those just like you can remember those first fishing trips. I went with my grandfathers fishing more than my dad. He was working. But I went with them, and those are treasures that I still hold. I wish I had had a camera most of the time. But yes.
Well, that's true with us. We didn't have many cameras back 60, 70 years ago, long before the digital age.
Yes, indeed. Hey, thanks for calling, my friend. It's a good conversation. I appreciate your support.
We've met several times, and keep up the good work.
I will do that. You keep listening and calling from time to time. I'll enjoy that, and I'll see you soon. Hey, it's a 17 after the hour. Up next is Henry is called. Hey, what are you doing? Are you fishing today?
Is this the Bug Man?
Yeah, that's right.
I got the wrong show.
He's up next. Stick
Good
around.
morning.
Good morning.
He's coming. I'm doing okay. You doing all right?
Yeah, doing fine, sure.
You know, I want to bring this show around full circle and talk about, because I do listen to the show. I just don't call in when, this is the greatest show in the world for insomniacs.
Yeah.
Because it's up, you're up early, so that's.
You're going to be up anyway.
You guys were talking. That's true, but it's nice having a cup of coffee in the morning with you, even though we're not sitting next to one another. It feels like we are. Bowfin. You were talking about Bowfin earlier in the program.
Yes, I was.
I want to tell you that Bowfin, over the last 2 years in the world of fly fishing, is gaining some incredible momentum.
No kidding.
Guys are taking fly rods and fishing for bowfin, and they're not just in the South. They get big bowfin in Michigan and Tennessee and Virginia and whatnot. But the further north you go, the bigger these things get. I mean, Michigan has got some just whopper-sized bowfin, and guys are now going after them with the fly rod, finding that they're really a great game fish to go after. So I just thought I'd bring that to light for people that. I'm sorry?
I didn't know that. I appreciate you telling us that.
Yeah, it's just, and there's going to be some articles coming out. One of my good buddies is going to be writing an article on what they call fly fishing for prehistorics, which is what I was listening to you and that gentleman talk about. That's what brought this whole conversation to mind. It's going to be in Fly Fisherman magazine in the coming year. He's going to be writing the article.
Wasn't that a great response I got from that viewer?
I loved it.
Yeah, he said when I said that this was a prehistoric fish, he wrote back for everybody else that wasn't listening. He wrote or telephoned or whatever it was, and he said that fish couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years old.
Well, listen.
That's okay.
I've been to the Lean-To Lodge, and I've seen some of your cave paintings on the wall, so I know how far back you go.
That's right. Yeah, there's handprints,
anyway, right. The other thing, you speak. I listen to you speak every Saturday to our friend John up in the Catskill Mountains, and O'Neill, I know you've probably never been to the Catskills, but I grew up spending my childhood years in the Catskills, and I am telling you, if you closed your eyes, you couldn't tell whether you were in the Catskills or North Georgia.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it is so similar. It is so similar. The only difference is up in the Catskills, if you put a plate of grits in front of John, he'd look at you and go, "What's that? Is that cream of wheat?"
Yeah, he'd put sugar on.
He would. Yeah, he wouldn't know. John wouldn't know. But the Catskills, where John lives, in that section, is famous for the Woodstock concert. That was up in the Catskill Mountains.
That's right.
And so that was in the town of Bethel, which is located in the Catskill Mountains. And another thing about the Catskills, really just interesting, because our listeners listen to John every Saturday, probably, and this is just my opinion, I think quite possibly the hardest fighting trout in the United States come from the Catskill Mountains in the Delaware River.
Oh, boy.
The Delaware River probably has the hardest fighting trout in the United States.
All right, Henry, I got to go, pal. I'm up against the clock.
All right, buddy.
You bet. I'll see you soon.
We'll talk next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
you bet. This is O'Neill. You guys stay right there. Okay, we have a lot of calls. You're listening to O'Neill Outside, and we do this every Saturday morning, 4 to 6 a.m. And I don't know whose idea was this, but sometimes I question it. We've got a lot of calls. We want to get to every single one of them, and I promise we will. First of all, what happened to Mac? Did I lose Mac? Oh, my goodness. Well, let's go now to Alan in Tallahassee. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Been listening to you the last couple of weeks. Just didn't call in, but I hear y'all this morning talking about what biggest fish you ever caught.
Yes, please tell me.
And me and my 6-month pregnant wife back in 1983 were fishing the south side of Lake George, there where the St. Johns River comes in.
Uh-huh.
And that morning, I caught my biggest, and so did she.
Oh.
I caught a 13.2, and she caught a 10.4.
Wow.
And we were fishing old Tom Mann's big 7-inch jelly worm.
Uh-huh.
I had a black with a red tail, and she had a blue with a red tail. When we were catching, they laid up on the beds. Most time you'd have to catch the buck before you catch the male. But
right.
That morning we caught 9 fish that were over 7 pounds.
Good grief. Boy, you caught it just right.
And it's good. I mean, all up down that St. Johns River is great fishing in Florida.
That's the Florida bass, and the temperatures there just perfect for bass fishing, no doubt.
You got it. Also, O'Neill, when is bear hunting season in Georgia?
It coincides usually with the rifle season for deer.
Well, I got a buddy. He lives up there above Clayton on 441, kind of going towards Murphy, North Carolina.
Right.
And he had a bear just like you were talking about earlier, up on your porch and all that. Mm-hmm. And they called the ranger, and they brought out a trap. And about 2 days later, he heard that sucker slam. And he looked out there and peeked and says, "Oh, we ain't caught the one we were looking for." They caught a bear that when the ranger got there with tagging and everything, said at one time it probably weighed over 600 pounds.
Wow.
It had a head bigger than a basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But when after they put him to sleep and everything, they checked his teeth and everything and said his teeth were about gone. He was pretty much starving to death. And, but, when you pull his skin away from him, he said, he lost a lot of weight. But could you imagine running up on that bad boy when he was in his prime? I mean, I know y'all got a lot of bear up there, but dang, I couldn't imagine running up on one like that.
The last 3 Georgia record bears that were harvested came from the Dawson Forest, which right next to me up here, and I think is 590 pounds, 597 pounds, and 603 pounds.
Yeah, the Ranger said this one probably at one time went over. He said it was somewhere between 15 and 17 years old.
Wow.
And so they took it up to the management area there, somewhere, I guess, around Clayton there, whatever one is. But my buddy says that the bears have gotten to the point now, a lot of them, well, they're not scared of you. They just come in. Actually, they came back one time from a stay overnight trip, and he went over to look out the patio window and said there was one laying on his deck, sound asleep, going to eat all the flowers up his wife had on the porch. Said when he knocked on the window, he just turned around and kind of looked like, "Excuse me, you're bothering me. I'm trying to sleep." So I mean, I don't know what they're going to do about it.
Well, you have to encourage people not to feed the bears. The bears will
And my last question to you is,
okay.
O'Neill, what is a good ratio of a doe to buck on, say, a 100-acre plot?
2 to 1 or 1 to 1.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to thin a few does out. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's buddy of mine. He's got a real nice place up here. I told you before, right on the Georgia-Florida line,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been trying to thin out a few of the does, and he's been real. We of course can't do a whole lot nowadays with this virus, but we've been looking at the pictures on the on the laptops and stuff, and there's probably about 10 real good bucks there, and there's probably 100 does.
Yeah, 10 to 1.
Yeah, so like I say, he's going to thin a whole bunch of does out this year.
The best thing to do, and then I got to go, the best thing to do is to telephone the Department of Natural Resources in Florida or Georgia, wherever it is, and ask them to call you back and speak to a biologist. Tell them, give them the conditions, where it is, how much the acreage is, what part of the state is it in. And so they will tell you what is ideal for that area, because it changes.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's different everywhere.
All right, buddy, I just want to holler at you. I haven't talked to you in a while, and of course it's hot as could be down here in Florida. But you take care of yourself, all right?
You bet. Stay in touch more often. I'll see you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, see you there. There you go. Let's see who's up next. It is Paul is calling from Atlanta in Brookhaven. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I haven't. You were talking about fishing stories a while ago. Heck,
yes.
I haven't been fishing since I was a kid.
Well, that's too bad.
In fact, if I remember right, I was either in 8th grade or I may have been a freshman in high school. But
well, you
remember
remember
I sent you a couple of emails.
Mm-hmm. I saw them.
What's that?
I saw those. Yes, I did.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. I sent you a couple of emails, just little short things about me that I thought you might be interested in.
Yes, very much. I appreciate you doing that. It's always interesting.
No, I'm glad to do it.
Yeah,
I'm glad to do it. I try to listen to your show every chance I get.
Well, thank you. How's life in Brookhaven?
I rarely get more than 4 hours of sleep at night, so I'm usually up this time of the morning.
Well, good. We appreciate hearing from you.
I'll tell you a little story. My dad, he just turned 80 yesterday. And there was on the house where I grew up, the house next to ours, the property behind there, they had a lake on it.
Okay.
And Dad, as he was prone to do, he'd get the bait on the hook, blah, 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 and then he'd set the rod and reel down and go off and do something else.
Sure.
Well, fish got on it and grabbed it and took it. So he lost his rod and reel. Now check this out. A year later, he goes back to that same lake, is fishing, and he says, good grief, what have I got on my line here? And he reels it in. He caught his rod and reel that he lost a year before.
The fish wasn't still on it, was it?
No.
I just thought I'd
but
check.
He caught his rod and reel. Check this out. Took it to the shop, cleaned it up, oiled it, and it worked just like it was brand new.
There you go. Not trying to top your story at all, but I did that. I did that when I was a guide at West Point Lake. I had a fish. Well, it was actually my client dropped a rod and reel, set the hook, dropped the rod and reel, and that's okay. Okay, it happens. And then I caught that rod and reel the next day. Isn't that something? But the fish wasn't on it.
Man,
I appreciate you calling the show this morning, Paul. Call more often. I'd love to hear from you.
All right, I will.
You bet. See you soon there.
All right.
Yeah, get some sleep. All right, let's see who's up next that I've got time to do. Let's talk quickly. Bob in Marietta's up next. He's got a quick fishing story. What do you say, Bob?
Well, it's not really fishing. First, I want to ask you about a product you advertised. I'm not good on the computer, so where can I buy the Arctic ice packs? I live northeast of Marietta.
The Fisher's Choice. You can get them on the internet, or the best place for you to get them is at Walmart.
No, Arctic Ice.
Oh, Arctic Ice. I'm sorry. I couldn't quite hear you. Arctic Ice, gosh. Again, you can find them at Walmart, Bass Pro Shop, a lot of places. A lot of people carry Arctic Ice. And it is really, once you get some of those, man, you're fine. You're not going to buy any more ice. I have about 6 packs of Arctic Ice, and when we go to the grocery store or I go fishing or hunting, all I do is throw an Arctic Ice pack in the cooler, and I'm set. You don't have to buy any ice at all. It's good.
Okay, about my outdoor question.
Okay, go.
I have a deck area behind my duplex with an awning. For several years, I had spiders building beautifully ornate webs out here. But I have not in the last couple of years. Why do you think that would have changed?
Well, either the pest control people have sprayed around the house, either your house or next door, and that's what's keeping the spiders away.
No, I've had pest control for several years.
Well,
but the spiders will build these.
I understand it's probably a garden spider. They make the prettiest nest, and he's a beautiful spider. But I can only comment that if you're not getting spiders where you used to get spiders, something has changed. They don't migrate. Something has changed for them. Hey, pal, I got to go. Thanks for calling. I always appreciate you taking the time to call. This is O'Neill. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. 40 minutes after the hour, and on the radio program right now, you're hearing probably the intro music, and it's Mario Lanza. That was, I know it's kind of funny. When I was in school at Emory, Mario Lanza was my favorite singer. Okay, let's get to the calls. Been holding on quite a while. Let's talk to Mark from Camden County. Good morning, Mark. Always good to hear from you, pal.
Morning, O'Neill. How you doing?
Where are you headed today?
I'm going to go up to Doughboy Sound and put in one last summer trip.
Okay.
Go chase some Spanish mackerel and king mackerel. Plus, we have our kingfish tournament today, too.
Oh, okay, good. Tell me, before you get to the reason for your call, what's the biggest fish, since you fish salt water so much, what's the biggest fish you ever caught?
It would have to be a shark, and it would have to be by accident. But
me too.
I caught a sandbar shark that was up around 9 foot. And he had no idea how much it weighed, but it was big.
Oh boy! Well, okay.
But I've gotten cobia up in the 80s. I've caught kingfish pushing 60, and yellowfin tuna a bit over 100. So I've been fishing a long time.
Yeah, that took a while, didn't it?
But, yeah. You're talking about people's favorite fishing stories now. Don't neglect the coast of Georgia either. We've got an accomplished fleet of charter boat captains down here, and those folks from up in that metro Atlanta area and come down and visit Captain Nobles or any of the other good charter boat captains we have here. But if somebody's wanting a bucket list trip, I was sitting and thinking about it while you were talking earlier, I would very much go down and do the Key West area end of January, month of February. And I usually fish out of Murray Marine down there off Stock Island at Key West. But the fish down there at that time of the year, especially the king mackerel, I think everyone on the Atlantic seaboard just about winters over down there. One day in particular, I remember catching and releasing 72 in one day.
Well, you got one on all the time. 15
to 25 pounds. Our biggest task that day was keeping bait.
Yeah, I bet.
We went and rebaited like 4 times that day.
I wasn't on this trip, but I have a friend of a friend who caught, and there were 3 couples on the boat. They were out of Key West, and they were going to troll for kings. And one said, "Well, who wants this rod?" And one of the ladies said, "I'll take this rod because I'm just going to sit here and read a book." She sat in the chair. 5 minutes later, she hooked up, and it wasn't a record because the captain, he didn't know. He grabbed the rod and set the hook for her. And I have seen pictures of this fish. This was a king. You ready, Mark? It weighed 88 pounds.
That's a grown one.
Yeah, it was. No kidding. Well,
yeah,
good.
Anything over 30 pounds on a kingfish is considered, big.
Oh, absolutely. This one weighed 88 pounds. So you got a tournament coming up, you say, tomorrow?
No, the Golden Isles King Mackerel tournament is today, and I'm not fishing in it, but I am going fishing. It's always kind of, because we'll have boats everywhere today.
Oh, I'll bet you will. I
used to fish the tournaments a lot, and now my thing is to go out and catch a fish that would maybe have won it.
Mm-hmm. Good
idea.
idea.
And then look at all the tournament boat captains grumble at me.
Yeah, Mark's done it again, right?
I won 3 tournaments. I'm in first place last year. I wasn't even in them.
Oh, my goodness. Well, just for my audience here, and then I got to go, but in this typical kingfish tournament that you're talking about today, what's the first prize?
Today, I believe, is $10,000 in cash.
Yeah, $10,000. Okay. All right, well, be safe, my friend.
Cash is better than prizes. You know that.
You bet. It's good to hear from you, as always.
Have a good day, brother.
You bet. Be safe and have a great weekend. There you go. Let's see here. It's 44 after the hour. Up next, Tony is calling from Atlanta. Good morning, Tony.
Yes, sir.
You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, sir? I wanted to share a story, and I wanted to share a little fisherman tip. It's my first time ever hearing a story. Probably one of the younger guys who call it. I'm a younger guy, but I do love fishing. Got it from my father and my grandfather. So I want to share a story with you. Do you want to hear my stingray story or my garfish story?
Give me the stingray story.
All right, here we go. So I was down at a Black Shoals Cove in Panacea in Florida, and I was down on vacation. We had a little pier that came out, and I had 2 rods set, one on the left, one on the right. It is windy as hell, and I'm sitting there kind of on my phone a little bit, and I look up, and my stick goes straight forward, and thank God my reel caught the wood. It caught the wood that was stuck up on the pier.
Yeah.
It saved my stick. I jumped up, boom. I pulled that stick back, and I felt like I pulled back on a rock or something. I thought I snagged something. And 30 minutes later, I'm fighting with this thing. I'm like, dang, this sucker is huge. And my dad's all the way down on the coast. Being the big man he is, he runs over, and I was getting exhausted. I was like, Dad, can you hold the stick for a second? And he's like, goodness, like, what do you have on the end of this thing? It's huge. But you know how stingrays are? They kind of like they stay close to the bottom. They're really flat.
Yes.
So after about 35 minutes of fighting with that sucker, I got him pulled out, and I didn't know what it was at first. I've never even caught a stingray. It's not what you're expecting. I was like, oh, look at this alien-looking fish, and it was a real pain to unhook them because they're like endangered and stuff. So
from their tail.
I went. It was just a really good fight. The best fight I ever had with a fish was a stingray, but he was a powerful sucker, and I hope I don't hook another one.
Yeah.
But I really called to tell you something because he was talking about catfishing earlier. Now, if anybody's fishing over in Georgia, Treble Mill Park is a great spot to go catfishing.
Yes, it is.
You get a lot of yes, it is. But you get a lot of 3 to 6 pound suckers out there. But what I wanted to say was a little tip for all the fishermen out there. I made this up, and my dad loves it. When you're fishing with chicken liver, it's a real tough bait because, well, one, it's a little slimy. You get it on the hook, you throw it, and if you're fishing late at night or at dusk, because the catfish start coming out at night, the little nocturnal guys. I I think so, right? Am I right, Neil?
Yes.
They're nocturnal. Yes. So what I did was, if you go to maybe your wife, maybe you don't want to take your wife's pantyhose, but if you go to like a shoe store, they have these like little like pantyhose material.
Yes.
Try-on socks.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a bunch of those home, and I cut them, and I hooked the chicken liver, and I tied the sock around the chicken liver and put the hook right through the bottom of the tip. And I guarantee you right now, Neil, you throw that sucker, your chicken liver will never come off. And I do dab the little pantyhose line back in the same that bloody water.
Yes,
and
that works.
Your chicken liver will never fall off the hook. Absolutely, and I don't know if there's any fishermen out there that are listening right now, but I mean, I'm a younger man. I love fishing, and I love to go when I can. Got it from my father and his grandfather, and I haven't been fishing as much because our boats broke down, but I go off the coast when I can. And
good for you.
I'll say that: put your chicken liver in a pantyhose line; it'll hold on to there. It won't get, especially Lake Lanier. If you go fishing up in Lanier, that water is warm.
Mm-hmm.
And that warm water will kind of melt that liver off the hook. So
you betcha.
Strap yourself.
Hey, that's a good tip. I've got to go right. I've got to go right now,
yes,
Tony.
Sir.
But that's a good tip. And salmon fishermen use the same thing, and they put salmon eggs in the pantyhose.
Oh wow! I've never been been salmon fishing.
It'll work there too. I got to go, pal.
I need to go for some salmon.
No, I haven't.
I'm going to join the rest of the show. Thank you so much.
Mighty fine. I'm glad you called. Now, the most important part of the program that we're most proud of is the Medal of Honor tribute.
Honor, courage, and strength of character. These qualities are embodied by the recipients of the Medal of Honor. Now, let's recognize this week's Medal of Honor recipient on O'Neill Outside.
Major William E. Adams in Vietnam, 1971. While serving as a helicopter pilot, Major Adams volunteered to fly a highly armed helicopter to evacuate 3 seriously wounded soldiers from a small fire base which was under attack by a large enemy force. He made the decision with full knowledge that the numerous anti-aircraft weapons were positioned around the base and that the clear weather would afford the enemy gunners an unobstructed view of all the routes to the base. As he approached the base, the enemy gunners opened fire with heavy machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and small arms. Undaunted, he continued his approach, determined to accomplish the mission. Displaying tremendous courage under fire, he calmly directed the attacks of supporting gunships while maintaining absolute control of the helicopter while flying. He landed the aircraft at the fire base despite the ever-increasing enemy fire and calmly waited until the wounded soldiers got on board. As his aircraft departed from the fire base, it was struck and seriously damaged by enemy anti-aircraft fire and began descending. Flying with exceptional skill, he immediately regained control of the crippled aircraft and attempted to controlled landing. Despite his valiant effort, the helicopter exploded, overturned, and plummeted to earth amid the hail of enemy fire. Major Adams' conspicuous gallantry and humanitarian regard for his fellow man were in keeping with the most cherished traditions of the military service and reflected utmost credit on him and the U.S. Army. Major William Adams died that day in Vietnam in 1971. That is a hero, not a politician, not anybody from the NFL or Major League Baseball, and no rock stars or movie stars. That is a hero. And I pick those things out as a demonstration for you, if you don't mind. It's my radio program. And I do this because I think too much praise is heaped upon those people instead of this guy, and you never knew his name. And now you do. All right, let's see. I've got time to do this, I think. I've got a way for you to participate in a giveaway. Visit YouTube, O'Neill Outside. Subscribe, and then comment on the videos. It doesn't cost you any money. You can unsubscribe anytime you like. The more times you comment on the videos, the more opportunities you have to win one of the 110 sponsor brands from Thorogood Boots, True Turn, Arctic Ice, Swaggerty's, fire extinguishers, Bojangles coupons, a Furminator, 2 Realtree jacket and hat combos, Conus Optics, a CVA muzzleloader, Power Belt bullets, tackle packs, and on and on and on. Timbuktu Outdoors and Quality Deer Management Association memberships. YouTube, O'Neill Outside. I'll be back. All right, I need to get to one more call, so tell me, Wade, quickly, what's the biggest fish you ever caught?
32-pound striper.
Oh, boy. All right,
I caught a lake loon one time but it don't count. I caught a lake loon on a trout one time, and I got mad when I figured I had a loon on. But that dude with the fishing pole, I lost the Ambassador 5000.
Oh.
Same way he wasn't paying attention. And my buddy hung a tree with my heavy-duty rod and reel, pulled the tree up. That was my 5,000.
There it went. I'll talk about that.
Love you. I'll call later next week when we talk more.
You bet. There you go. And let's see, I've got just a few seconds here. Let's talk. Because he called, he's from Monroe, Georgia. Jim, what do you got going on?
Good morning, Professor. I just wanted you to tell the guys out there, be sure and go down and check all your stands, make sure the nuts, bolts, and washers are all fresh.
Oh, boy.
If they got a little rust on them, be sure and check them out. We're doing that at our club today. We take 5 people and run them one way and 5 the other way. And
Good
start
for
looking
you.
At everybody's
Good for
stand
you.
Make sure it's safe.
Great, terrific recommendation. More hunters are injured from tree stand accidents than from their guns.
That's true, sir.
You bet.
And I just want to tell you, Professor, that I certainly appreciate you. You do a lot for us, and a lot of people don't even know what the hours you spend on the backside.
You bet. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Have a great weekend,
Yes,
pal. Be safe.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
You bet. I got to go. This is O'Neill. And if you're too busy to take a kid fishing, you're too busy. You keep that in mind. Great memories. I'll see you next week.
I once asked a mighty hunter, coming home from the field, how he came to possess such mighty hunting and fishing skill. He said, I'll tell you a secret, son. I learned everything I know from listening to O'Neill Outside on my radio. O'Neill, O'Neill, O'Neill Outside.